It was one of the biggest and boldest scoops on this channel in the year 2023. We declared here exclusively, even before the Super Mario Bros. Movie had debuted, that there was a Nintendo cinematic universe under development. Not only that, but we went far beyond. We declared what we believed the Phase 1 was, based on sources who had reached out. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here to tell you on this Christmas Eve that it now appears beyond a shadow of a doubt that those rumors are true and confirmed. Add it to the list, folks. We're going to dive in right now to the Super Smash Bros. Avengers style Phase 1 NCU. Don't miss it. Let's go. Hello, folks. Welcome back to the WDW Pro channel. It is a joy, as always, to join you, and it's even more joyful today because, well, it's Christmas Eve, so Merry Christmas to each and every one of you out there. Lauren, welcome back to the channel again. You are a fan favorite, and so it's nice to have you here with us.
Thanks for having me, sir.
Now, Lauren, you've been a part of when we've talked about the NCU in the past, the Nintendo Cinematic Universe, and we've been very bold in some of these predictions. I also want to say a special thank you to the sources who have made that possible. I never want to have a channel where we where we leave out that special moment where we're supposed to say thank you, because we can't know all of this stuff. It would be impossible without these people coming forward and telling us these things, and honestly taking a little bit of a risk. We've never burned a source. We don't intend to, but it's very nice of people to trust us to honor that commitment and to bring this information out. Lauren, let's go straight to the article now, where I guess this is confirmed, and then we're going to show people the video. And last week, Lauren, we covered the first 3 months of this channel. We did an audit. You and Culture Casino did an audit of the scoops and the rumors that we had. We ran through every single scoop and rumor. And in the first 3 months of this channel's existence, it was 90%. And that was something like 40 different rumors and scoops, 90% accuracy. I think this is continuing it because in the month of April, that was when we brought out this NCU scoop in terms of the Phase 1 and that it was going to be a Super Smash Bros. Movie that led up to it. And now here we are. This out of GameRant. It says MCU-style Super Smash Bros. Movie has reportedly been pitched. And folks, we're going to help you read between the lines because what is not being said here might be bigger than what is said here. We'll explain in just a moment. It says, following the success of the Super Mario Bros. Movie, Illumination is reportedly pitching Nintendo an Avengers-style Super Smash Bros. Film. Illumination, an animation studio under the Universal Studios umbrella, is the same team behind Mario's super successful 2023 feature film, despite mixed reviews. And by the way, the reviewers regret that now. The Super Mario Bros. Movie was a massive success at the box office. Oh, come on, folks. You thought they reviewed these things legitimately? No, they just try to measure where the audience is and then try to hit that or try to help themselves out with some corporations. I'm so cynical. Anyway, it's Christmas. Perhaps I shouldn't be. Where it became the highest grossing video game movie of all time. It's not just successful by video game adaptation standards either. The Super Mario Bros. Movie is simply one of the highest grossing animated films ever made, and Illumination's highest grossing project to date, even leaving those lovely little minions in the dust. Now, here's where we got to go with this. And it's going to talk about it more in just a moment, Lauren. But what's not being said here, and I want to bring in also Tommy Tables joining us as well right now. What's not being said here, gentlemen, is that if they are pitching a Super Smash Bros. Movie, audience, hang with us here and pay close attention. We're going to bring something out that nobody else is going to tell you this first. This is the first time I think anybody's going to say it. If they're pitching a Super Smash Bros. Movie, then there are one of two options here that we can go with. Option one, Lauren, is that would mean that there already have to be multiple Nintendo movies on the docket. Because if you're going to do the Avengers style thing with the NCU, the same way that Marvel did with the MCU, you have to have quite a few different movies and franchises to bring into a Smash Brothers movie. So that's option number one. The second option is that perhaps, although I think this is less likely, Illumination is pitching to Nintendo the idea of, well, let's do an entire phase one and a Smash Brothers movie. But that's not what the article says. The article says it's pitching Smash Brothers. So I think that option one is far more likely, that indeed we do have a vast number of Nintendo projects now in the works and that they're going to culminate. What do you think, Lauren? Which way do you think this goes?
Well, at the very least, I think that they'd be negligent of their duties if they weren't at least exploring things like script treatments and things. They've got to have pitches ready to make, and so yeah, I think that's absolutely, definitely happening. Doesn't necessarily mean that anything's been signed yet, but I think that this is definitely their intention. This is where they want to go, and it's what makes logical sense. So sure.
Absolutely. Tommy, what do you think is going to be the general response from audiences if there is, in fact, an NCU, which I don't see any way that there's not at this point? This seems absolutely confirmed. And by the way, folks, this is all over. I mean, we picked an article, but you could pick any number of articles to read. Tommy, what do you think the response will be to an NCU at the same time that the MCU is greatly diminished?
I think there'll be a relief. I mean, with the MCU, how should I put this? Falling off of a cliff, it's left a giant void, I guess, in people's consciousness about cinematic universes. And I know that sounds kind of trite and silly, but at the same time, we've been kind of conditioned to accept that a shared universe, a cinematic universe, is now kind of the norm. Going all the way back to the first Iron Man movies, and like there's an entire audience that has grown up on this idea of interconnected films coming out, not just, sequels or prequels, but universes fleshed out and developed. And so where the MCU is failing and where the DCU, I suppose, has died
probably this weekend. Aquaman 2 was the end of that.
Yeah, well, and I'm referring more to James Gunn's upcoming DCU, which is only going to be starting in 2 years from now.
Right, 2025. They're doing the thing, by the way, Tommy, where they're taking a break, which was not what Marvel opted to do, and perhaps to their own demise to some degree.
So I think this is just beautiful timing by Nintendo. They're filling in, like they're stepping into that gap that Marvel has just vacated, and it's almost seamless, really. The only thing that I've got a bit of a head scratcher over is if they are indeed going down this path, why would they make the Zelda movie live action?
Well, let's get to that, actually, Tommy. I'm glad you asked that question. And here we go. Back to the article for a moment, and I think we can get some explanations. After the Super Mario Brothers movie joined the billion-dollar club, it was only a matter of time before Nintendo followed up with another big-screen debut. The video game company went in a bit of a different direction, however, as Nintendo announced it was teaming up with Sony for a live-action Legend of Zelda movie. Still, that's just one iron in the fire for a company that is absolutely loaded with popular IP. Given the success of Nintendo and Illumination's partnership so far, it isn't hard to imagine that the two could team up for more animation projects in the future. Now, here's where we get into less speculation and more, well, this is just a proclamation coming from someone who has quite the track record. Industry insider Daniel Richtman is reporting that Illumination has pitched an Avengers-style Super Smash Bros. Movie. Like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, this project would feature several spin-off films from various other Nintendo personalities. The Super Mario Bros. Movie introduced characters like Bowser, Donkey Kong, Luigi, and Peach alongside Mario, but the roster still has plenty of spots to fill. It should be noted that Rickman's track record isn't perfect, but the film industry scooper has gotten plenty right in the past as well. As always, reports like this should be treated with a grain of salt until an official announcement is made. I dare say that Rickman is copying us. No, I'm joking. I don't think that at all. There's plenty of space in what we do for people to get different corroborating reports on this. But Tommy, what I would say is, although I can't confirm this, it seems to me possible that I don't see any reason that Illumination couldn't do an animated Zelda while at the same time Sony is doing a live action. And I want to bring this up to everybody, just so we bring this back to the rumor and speculation audit that we were doing last week, and we promised to continue doing until we finish this out. Take a look at this. This is the video that we did back on April 11th here on the channel, and it's called the NCU Phase 1, Do Clues from the Super Mario Brothers Movie Prove a Nintendo Cinematic Universe Document? And it's fun to look back on the past here on the channel because This had 12,500 views. And back then, that was a big video for us. And well, we've had multiple 200,000 view videos in the past month or so. So thank you, folks, for being the electricity. When we say that, we mean it. You all have driven this channel to the moon. But I want to go through what we were finding out back then. Take a look at this. It's actually broken down into chapters, and we can see these in the video description. We talked about in phase 1 there being Zelda, Metroid, Yoshi. The big surprise that's mentioned there is actually Super Punch-Out. And then we had a thing where Steven actually knew something about that a little bit that was shocking to me. It happened on the fly. And then we talked about the final entry, which was the Koopa kids, actually, the Bowser kiddos.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went into great detail about where we thought this was going with the NCU. You're going to notice there are some items not on this list, and these are mentioned actually in this article that we were just reading. And those are, there's some speculation that Pokemon would be in this, that Kirby would be in this. And I would just suggest to people that even Super Smash Brothers, the rights are a little bit difficult. And so it's not that Nintendo has the full authority with every single franchise that you might associate with Nintendo. So it is a little bit messy. And if you're wondering why some of these games might be selected first, then it has a lot to do, I think, with that. But Lauren,
first-party titles versus third-party titles.
Exactly. Lauren, I want to go to you. Last week when we did the audit, you in Culture found that we had a 90% accuracy. What happened was that as we got into April, May, and June, we also began to get into the strikes and the preparation for the strikes. And what happened there was that it became much more difficult for us to get scoops and leaks because we didn't know what was going to happen with the strikes, and we didn't want to come out with a big rumor that, would be annihilated as part of the strikes. And so we slowed down significantly during that phase, and only recently have we begun doing big-time scoops and rumors again. That said, during that time period, the NCU came up, and it was so big, and we had such great confirmation that we had to report on it. Lauren, what are your thoughts about the specificity, having reported on this in April, and now it's December, this is looking likely confirmed. What would you say in regards to what this might mean broadly for entertainment going forward for the next years? I mean, do you think this is the next big franchise theatrically?
I think it could be. I'm not sure necessarily that it should be. From our conversation on the last video that you and I did together, I'm kind of leaning towards, I'm not sure that I want to see franchises for a while. On the other hand, if they are able to pull something like this off, the beauty of it is you have all these different games that are each in their own universe, and that means that you can tackle lots of different genres. Metroid, in particular, I think could be fun because you can develop your own space opera series right there. And you can do it in such a way that essentially you can play in the woke backyard a little bit without necessarily going woke, because Samus Aran is a female. There's your female lead.
And it needs to be said too, Lauren, that Nintendo, some of our reporting in the past year was that Nintendo prevented the Mario Brothers movie from going woke, that there were efforts, and Nintendo said no. No. And it probably saved the movie.
This is one of the things that I think actually makes this kind of a rumor exciting, is because the Japanese studios seem to be understanding that our job is to entertain. It's not to preach. It's not to lecture. It's not to do any of those things. We want to put a piece of entertainment in front of you, and we trust that if you're entertained, you'll reward us. That's the kind of behavior that we want to promote. So if they do pull this off, after the success of the Super Mario Brothers movie, I hope the audience will continue to reward them as long as they continue to put out good product.
You bet. Tommy, if this thing takes off, it's going to be interesting because Sega has also had great success theatrically as of late. The Sonic movies are great. The third Sonic movie is going to be coming out. We've just seen Sega announce quite the roster of video games now that they're going to develop, and I assume that those will probably have some additional tie-ins, whether those are theatrical or streaming, I don't know, but you're talking about Jet Set Radio, you're talking about Crazy Taxi, and more. Do you think, Tommy, that, well, let's just do this from a financial standpoint, from a marketplace standpoint, not a feasibility standpoint, but do you think from a marketplace standpoint, would it be wise to have in a Super Smash Brothers movie, have the Sega characters, have Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, etc., come through a portal and join together with Mario to stop whatever villain it might be, whether that's Bowser or Ganondorf or what have you?
Absolutely. I think the more hype, the better. And I mean, like you said, there's precedent for this. Sonic and his characters have appeared in previous Super Smash Brothers games, right? And I could, and Sonic in some ways is almost, it kind of laid the groundwork for this new NCU, like the movies, and especially the goodwill that the studio built up with the fan outcry towards the very first design of the Sonic character. If you recall, everyone thought it looked horrible, and so they went back and they made it more true to form, and people loved that, and they loved the fact that the studio actually listened to them and said, you know what, you guys have a point. You're our audience. You're our customer. We want to cater to you. And they went and they did it. They didn't sort of double down and say, well, you know, you're going to get this weird mutant looking Sonic and like it. So I think it would just, it would, you know, blow the roof off the internet to have Mario and Sonic up there on the silver screen. It would be fantastic. And just going back to a point that you had said before about having multiple versions of these same characters running around, you know, animated or live action, I really wonder if that is the route that that Nintendo will take, because there was a while with the DC universe where they had an edict that forbade multiple versions of characters. And so that's why you never had Batman show up on the Flash TV show or in the Green Arrow TV show, because they only wanted to have one Batman who was in the movies. And then as the DC universe kind of sputtered and, you know, pooped out, they started easing up on that a little bit, and you had Tyler Hoechlin star in the Supergirl show and whatnot. But I always felt that that was a mistake. The audience is sophisticated enough to be able to tell the difference between, you know, Batman on TV and Batman in the movies. And so I really hope that Nintendo doesn't follow suit, that they do have an animated Link and a live action Link. Like, why not?
Well, the reason, Tommy, that I think that Nintendo is very comfortable with the idea of different Zeldas in that vein is because Zelda already is a franchise that has leaned into that. Zelda has very varied artistic styles that it has been expressed through. And so you've got cell shaded, you've got realistic, you've got overhead, you've got 2D, you've got 3D, you've got all these different things that Zelda has been done with. And so I don't think that Nintendo feels like Zelda has to be contained into either live action or into animation. And I hesitate to turn a video where we're confirming a rumor and as part of an audit of our rumors here on the channel into another rumor video. But I will say that I'm very confident and comfortable to declare, although I am now in rumor speculation territory, I am comfortable to say that Illumination really would like to have a bite at Zelda. And so let him, I say let him have a swing at it. But yeah, I think Tommy, you're exactly right when it comes to Sega and Sonic. That movie really paved the way for this version of Mario that we received, because I think that the entire market, and especially Nintendo, saw that if you give the fans what they love from the video games, they will show up absolutely ravenously for those characters, because they love those characters. They grew up with those characters. And so I think that gave Nintendo the footing to say, let's do this, and let's not let them alter our characters. Let's stay absolutely true to form. And I think it worked brilliantly. It is the antithesis of what destroyed Star Wars, right? I mean, the idea that you subvert expectations, Nintendo basically said, no, we're not going to subvert expectations. We're going to exceed expectations. And that was also what we got out of Sonic. Was we saw the subversion and what the reaction was to that. And they said, no, we're going to give you exactly what you want, and we'll exceed what you want. And, we got a great movie out of that as well. And great for kids. Look at the popularity. They both skyrocketed. Lauren, I'll give you final word on what you think about video games being brought into movie adaptations. Final thoughts, please, sir.
Well, if it's done right, and I think Super Mario Brothers was, then I think that that's an exciting prospect. I would like to put a bug in their ear that I know they're wanting to go with first-party titles, but please approach Konami. They're not doing anything very much with their franchises anymore, but I would love to see the guys from Contra and Castlevania there. And because Illumination is under Universal, you've got the Universal monsters. That's a
Lord, how are we going to get Contra into a kids movie? How are we going to do that, Lord?
do it comedic. You could do that comedic. Have Bill and Lance be bumbling action heroes who are just overly macho. I think there's ways to do it.
I'm up for it.
But when you've got Illumination under Universal, I think that there's some cross-pollination that you can do with the Universal monsters and build your own version of, say, Disneyland's haunted house. I think there's a lot of things you can do there. Please
Absolutely.
bring the Belmonts into this.
I'm just actually thinking about Contra now. It's been a long time since I've played a Contra game. I wish they'd bring another one out. Let's do it.
They are. There's going to be a new one coming out here real soon.
Well, good. When that happens, let me know. We'll play it. We'll review it. We'll do something with it. Well, gentlemen, thank you for being here. And again, folks, we're not perfect. We sometimes we miss our rumors, but I think 90% is pretty good. In fact, 90% is something I'm very pleased with. Again, all credit goes to the sources for helping us do that. We get a lot of information, and some of you out there may have even sent us information in the past, and you may wonder why didn't we report on it necessarily? Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. And it's just simply because we work hard to corroborate that stuff and make sure that we feel confident in it before we put it out in the public, because we are trying to keep a solid track record. We believe that's important, and so that's what we're trying to do here. Folks, if you like content like this, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe. When you click it, you stick it to the algorithms. It's the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. And don't forget that over the next few days, even though the holidays are here, we will continue to put out content just like always here on the channel. And folks, you're going to be hearing some discussions with Lorne, with Tommy Tables, and with LW Ghost. We're going to be bringing some previously exclusive members content to the general public because it was so good and the response was so strong. We had members saying, Pro, you have to give this to the public. It can't sit behind here. And so 99% of the member exclusive content will continue to be member exclusive content. It will never change. But 2 conversations in particular were so good that it's unfair. We've got to put them out in the public. You all just have to hear what was discussed. It's fantastic. I want to thank Tommy and Lauren for being a part of that. Of course, LW Ghost as well. Folks, that's a wrap for today. We wish you a very Merry Christmas. We hope you are having a wonderful time with friends and family. Thank you so much for allowing us to be a part of your time today, wherever and whatever you're doing. We hope we made it better. And folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.
Wilton, you're not allowed in the kitchen. And, it smells like burning dog hair. What are you doing in here?
Well, I got a DM from Slade Wilson on how to roast Jonas. I mean, I didn't bother reading it, because I already have the perfect plan.
Wait a minute. So you're challenging Slade?
Well, not really. It's more like what Caffeine Kennedy and Kevin Feige do to Disney. A tag team of destruction. Plus, we're also making sure that everyone knows to subscribe to WDW Pro this Christmas.
Well, I appreciate you helping Pro, but doing one good thing does not make up for both of you doing a bad thing. Pro's making sure everyone gets accurate information and stays ahead of the culture curve, but, oh man, what is that smell? You're not really...
Oh, yeah, no, I'm literally roasting Jonas in the oven. I mean, I was kind of confused on where you were going with that line of questioning in the first place.
Roasting someone's a figure of speech. You don't actually cook them. Somebody! Oh my! Hang on, Jonas! Well, I hope you're happy about what you've done this Christmas, Wilton. You almost ended Jonas.
On the brighter side, he looks great with that new tan. I guess you could say I gifted him a nice complexion.